Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the social media awards. I first thought of this idea just because the Grammys were coming up, and I always think it's interesting to see who the nominees are and see who ends up winning. So I decided to do the same thing, but in our community. In this video, I want to show you all the software that I used to create the poll, how I actually tallied up the votes, and things like that behind the scenes. So first off, what I use is Google Forms. I guess it's not really a software, it's a free service online. If you have a Gmail account, then that's pretty much all you need to be able to access it. So when you sign in, it will take you on mobile to create a new form. This is what it looks like on a computer. It's much easier to navigate. So you can see at the top, I can click on responses to view everyone's responses. So this breaks it down how many people responded and the answers to each individual question. Here are the nominations for best memes. As you can see, all the names are listed and there's a scroll bar on the side. There were quite a lot of nominations. How that worked on the Google form is you can choose the answer type. So first I chose short answer so that people would be able to write in their own response. Once I knew who the finalists were, then I decided to go with drop down so that I could type in each person's name and then they could open the menu and view all the names to vote. I really can't explain why this happened, but some of the results appeared this way because there were so many people inputting names using different spelling or dots and underscores in different ways. To get the nominations out of that bar graph, I had to mouse over every single bar and write down all their names on a Google Doc and tally up the votes by hand. That said, I'm sure you all understand now why it took me about a week to tally up these results. Now I want to share how many nominations each of the top nominees actually received. The top nominations for Best Meme each received 6 nominations. The top nominations for Best TikToks received 20, 15, and 7 nominations. Top nominees for Most Relatable Content received 7, 6, and a tie of 5 nominations. Top nominees for Best Original Content received 7, 6, and 6 nominations. Top nominees for Biggest Collaborator received 7, 5, and 4 nominations. Top nominees for Best Choreographer received 21, 10, and 10 nominations, the most nominations of any category. Top nominees for Social Butterfly had 11, 4, and 4 nominations. For the final voting, as I mentioned earlier, I used the drop-down menus, which made it really easy to interpret the results. They were displayed for me as pie charts. 268 people voted in this category, and 70.1% of responses were for Punk Rock Irving. 259 people voted in this category, and 49% of responses were for Punk Rock Irving. 264 people voted in this category, and 44.3% of responses were for Punk Rock Irving. 259 people voted in this category, and 74.1% of responses were for Punk Rock Irving. 258 people voted in this category, and 70.5% of responses were for We Spin Not Twirl. 259 people voted in this category, and 76.1% of responses were for That Guy Who Spins. 258 people voted in this category, and 55.8% of responses were for We Spin Not Twirl. Based on that data, I can tell that an average of 261 people participated in the finals of the social media awards. Out of my 10,100 followers, that means only 38.7% of followers actually participated. To go along with that, I did this survey in my story, and it's not surprising that 72% of people said they did not participate, and only 28% of people said they did. Some of you who have been wondering why I required a sign-in for the final voting was mostly just to avoid people going in and voting for their friends or excessively voting for their favorite person, because this is supposed to reflect the opinion of the community, not just one person's favorite. The results of this poll in my story suggest that requiring sign-in did affect people's voting, as 40% of people said they did not vote. Thank you all for leaving comments in my comment section. I'm glad we enjoyed this. One comment in particular about Spintronics, I want to go into their individual nomination results. They were nominated for 6 of the 7 categories. I'm actually a giant fan of theirs, but I think they have more tutorials than anything else. That doesn't really fit into any of these categories, which might explain why they didn't win. Lastly, check out Hey It's Kate on TikTok, and thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, or share with a friend.